At Air Station Sitka, the search is on. The Coast Guard races to save a truck driver pinned under his rig.
Sounds like this guy's in pretty bad shape.
The team rushes to a fisherman struggling with deadly seizures.
Everything we do, every second matters.
And when a teenager goes missing in the woods, it's up to the Coast Guard to bring her home.
The sooner as we can find her, the better, because you just never know in this country what's going to happen.
The vast Alaskan wilderness, a place where beauty is cloaked by danger. Here, every day, 350 highly trained men and women risk their lives to save others. America's deadliest waters are protected by Coast Guard Alaska.
I called home.
My name is Dan McDevitt. I'm a flight mechanic. Today we were getting ready to go out for a normal patrol. We ended up getting a call, and we went up to the ops center.
All right, guys, so we'll brief here quick. So we're on the sheet of music. So they've got port protection. 13-year-old girl went on a hike, apparently by herself, sometime last night before sunset. The sector's still getting the details. The troopers are running the case. So they've been down there since yesterday evening, and they've got some people on the ground looking for her. But they're looking for more bodies, more people to be out searching. So that's why they're trying to get Sitka Mountain Rescue. They're also trying to get a dog, so we may have a dog come in on the flight with us. What I found out so far is that a young girl went on a hike up in the hills behind the town of Port Protection, which is a really small, basically a cove with just a handful of homes in a small community. So she went up in a hike Sunday afternoon and really hasn't been seen since. So at this point, she's already spent one cold, wet night out in the woods.
My name is Tyler. I'm with Sitka Mountain Rescue, and this is my golden retriever, Callie. She's an air scent dog, and so she basically can pick up raft particles that are put off by a missing person and follow clues that we can't. So, yeah, we're gonna give her a chance to work today.
Hey, puppy. That dog's like, for shizzle, you want me to get in there? It can be better. Hopefully it'll be better when he gets in here.
So this morning, by the time Sitka Mountain Rescue arrived here, we had already been on the ramp and the head was turning. So the dog was definitely a little apprehensive coming into the rotor arc. But once he got inside the cabin, she got comfortable, and I think she was okay with it.
Yeah, Coast Guard Rescue 6030 cleared special VFR to the south side of the surface area. We'll come.
Okay, 10 feet, hovering about 36 on the go. Airspeed over out.
We headed out of Sitka with 2 members of Sitka Mountain Rescue on board and a search dog. So the weather has turned out to be pretty good. We were able to make it in an hour down to Port Protection.
Clear down.
Once we landed in Port Protection, I went and walked the 2 Sitka Mountain guys out. Port Protection, it's a small little town, very small, and all the houses are connected by this intricate boardwalk. And so I walked up the boardwalk with them. They were talking to the townspeople. People had already been out searching. Sitka Mountain Rescue was getting all the information they could to do their job.
There's a lake.
So the trail to the lake, is it this trail?
This will take you up to the water tower.
Okay.
And then the trail heads off from there, and maybe we can get Jacob.
Okay.
This is her father. And he's been all over back up in there.
Okay, so survival gear, survival training.
She has no training, really. She's got Levi's on, black t-shirt, brown hoodie, and rubber boots.
Is she experienced with this area?
No. She's from Nevada. She's been here 6 months.
Ready.
Basically, you're just looking for the girl.
Fortunately, all the information they needed was excellent information for us also. So I hung back, gathered that info, And then I went back to the helicopter with it, and we pulled up and we began our portion of the search.
All right, we're good for flight.
Sector Rescue 30, flat ops normal, position 5620 north, 13336 west, actively searching, over.
So as I'm looking out the door during our search, I'm looking relatively straight down and kind of combing, doing it up and down diagonally, trying to cover as much in my frame of view as I can and go over it as many times as I can as the helicopter's moving along.
It's so thick, barely see through the trees.
You just can't see the ground. If she's got herself to an exposed spot where we can see her, we can find her a lot quicker,
My concern for this young lady was that she was in a place where she needed to get out of pretty quick, just the elements, the weather was terrible and it was cold. It was probably hovering right around 38 degrees the whole time, and if you're cold and wet, it's hypothermia can set in pretty quick.
SMR from Rescue 30. We're thinking you can give us a position where the dogs might have lost scent, so we can start doing a parallel search there, over.
Roger, 1 o'clock position, approximately 200 feet, 200 yards.
I got a visual on them right now, almost directly below us.
We have a single set of tracks moving through this area, and they're small, but they're headed up the valley, the direction that your nose is, over.
No, shoot that way, which is not the right way to be going home.
Okay, roger. We're gonna start out here looking on the infrared.
For a case like this, one of the huge tools we have to work with is the EOIR. It has the infrared on it, and it can pick up the slightest little heat signal.
Hold position. You want to mark it? Yeah, come back around to the left. On the left. Okay, what I had was at 6 o'clock, and mark.
So in the woods right to the left somewhere here.
Hopefully if it's hurt, she would know to run up on the road.
Unless she's hurt.
Yeah.
There we go. The deer is bolted.
When you're searching over terrain, it's as rough as it was down there in port protection. You're looking through, with the IR camera, even visibly with your naked eye outside the door. Everything happens a lot slower. You don't want to miss it. Like when you're over the water and you're doing your typical Coast Guard mission over water, you can move a lot faster and you can scan a lot broader area, because things in the water pretty much stand out if they're there. On the ground, everything's much slower pace.
Do you see anything on that bend?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything.
We've been out here flying for about 8 hours at this point. On the ground, they found signs of her, so we know she's out here in the woods walking around. Hopefully, she's not hurt. And it's just a matter of somebody laying eyes on her.
All right, well, there's our 2,500 guys.
Okay.
I think it's time to go home.
One of the worst feelings you can have as a Coast Guard pilot is to have to leave scene, knowing that there's somebody still there that needs to be rescued. But it's the classic command decision that you have to make. We call it a bingo fuel. Your bingo fuel is the fuel that you're not going to burn past because you need it to safely get wherever you're going to get after that. And when we get to that point, we've got to go regardless of where we are in the search.
SMR, this is Coast Guard Sector Juno. Tomorrow, weather permitting, 4 people with 2 dogs will be transported, over.
I couldn't imagine being those parents right now.
Nope.
So leaving the scene, knowing that most likely this girl's going to be spending a second night out there, it's never a good feeling. It's not, it's going to weigh on you. It's going to be with you. I'm sure when I'm going to bed tonight and I'm in my, comfortable bed with my warm sheets, she's going to pop into my head, and we'll just, you can just hope that somebody's able to find her.
morning, we've got a first light search going out for a 13-year-old who was lost in the woods for 2 days. We've had a crews try to search yesterday and find her with no success. And today we're going to go help search port protection. As soon as we can find her, the better, because you just never know in this country what's going to happen.
Vector 6038, go ahead.
I've got an update on the case. They've located the subject.
We've only been airborne for about 2 minutes, and we just heard on the radio that this girl's been found and she's okay. It's a great feeling. She's got people with her there now that can, get her some water, try to warm her up, but she's still probably in the middle of nowhere. So we know we need to get there quickly, and we'd like to get her on board and get her, to a hospital or to EMS.
Tell them we are 20 minutes out.
So when we land, it's actually pretty soggy ground, so we have to keep some power on the aircraft, kind of half on the ground and half flying. Noel goes out to meet with the ground search party to assess her condition.
As I came up, you could tell that she had been out in the woods for a while. Her face was all dirty, and you could tell that she had just been trying to survive. The ground crew had put some fresh clothes on her. I found out her dad was actually part of the ground party there as well. So I wanted to get Michaela into the helicopter so I can evaluate her better.
Let us know when you're ready. Rod, still getting situated back here.
But we finally got both of them in the helicopter. We cranked on the heat, and Michaela was doing good at this time. I was a little worried about her dehydration and weakness. But we needed to get airborne.
Okay, crew port ready for takeoff.
Coast Guard 60.
Ready for takeoff.
As we got airborne, then I started evaluating Michaela a little bit more.
Patient's stable right now, doing well. We're just trying to hydrate.
We needed to get her to a clinic because I knew after 2 days I was worried about if she had drank some water, what kind of bacteria, maybe there could be giardia or different things like that that can show up later on. So I needed to have them evaluate her a little bit better.
My name's Michaela McRoberts, and I live in Port Protection. And Sunday I went to take a hike up to a lake behind Port Protection. Well, after a while, the rain started coming down a little bit more, so I went into the woods, and I thought I found the path for a second, got lost. So I kind of jumped a creek, climbed up a hill, sat down by this one tree that kind of was hollowed out slightly, where I could fit my head and shoulders in it. That's how much it was hollowed out, and stayed there that night.
It's humbling to hear how Michaela spent her nights out there, soaked from trying to cross a creek, just trying anything she could to keep that warmth. Yeah, it's definitely amazing. I'm kind of in awe of her survival instinct and the way that she survived out there.
Sector 6038, we are approximately 2 minutes from landing.
I can't express how proud we are in the Coast Guard about, how she survived, and it's an incredible story for all of us to take back and say, here's a little 13-year-old girl who not only spent one night, but 2 nights drenched wet, southeast Alaska, had the will to survive, and she did it.
We're in Port Protection, Alaska. We're waiting for Michaela to get off of the plane. Part of the community is here waiting, gathering to greet her, and this is going to be the first time that we see her since her adventure. Oh, yay! Oh my God.
I can't breathe out.
How are you?
Pretty good.
My name's Jim McRoberts. I'm Michaela's father. What she went through is not too many people would have been able to make it. When I saw her smiling and that was the happiest day of my life.
The whole reason why I went out of the woods.
What you do to get a dog.
To everybody who came out to look for me, I would just like to say, you guys were like awesome. All right, this is the one day I'm going to be hugging people, so.
These people from all over the state, when something like this happens in our communities, everyone puts their feet forward to help. The volunteer rescue people, the Coast Guard, they go out in horrid conditions and help people when no one else could ever go there. I would like to commend the Coast Guard and thank them for saving Michaela's life. Thank you.
What did you eat out there, Michaela?
Blueberry leaves and a spider.
What?
I just got an urgent call from Medevac for a 50-year-old male who's pinned by a log truck.
We're expecting crush injuries, internal bleeding, any broken bones, head injury, stuff that, can't wait for a few minutes. We need to get him out of there right away.
Today we're working with a school district and teaching 7th graders some water survival methods. We do it every year with them. It's a great time. Kids actually get to play in the water with all of our rescue equipment. We just teach them survival skills, how to get in and out of life rafts.
All right, so this is what you're gonna do. You are going to go ahead and get up on your suit. You're gonna sit on the wall with your feet in the water. My name is Jared Hirai. I'm a PE teacher here at Blatchley Middle School. We are here at the Blatchley Pool doing the AMSI program. The AMSI program is through the Sitka School District. We have AMSI instructors here. We have the Coast Guard instructors here helping the 7th grade students learn about cold water safety. If you happen to see an airplane or a helicopter above you, what do you want to do to make yourself more visible to the air? Okay? You're going to want to kick and make white water. So when I say go, I want big white water. Ready, set, go. We have 4 stations here. We have immersion suits. A lot of commercial fishermen here. They all are required to have these on board, so we're giving them a glimpse of what they are. We have a station as PFDs, personal flotation devices.
So then step off.
And we have a station where students are trying to experience getting themselves into a boat from the water, which is something that could possibly happen in a situation. We want to give them a glimpse of how hard it is in calm water to try to get their body weight into a boat.
Grab under their arms. There you go. That's it.
And the last station is kind of a fun station with the rescue swimmers. They're here to show them what they do in the Coast Guard. Like this. Okay. Just let us grab you. And I'll take you. Put you in the basket. Watch your head. Get in the help position. There you go.
We think it's really important to teach them survival skills from a very early age. Because in Southeast Alaska, you're just surrounded by water. And no matter where you go, you're in water. And it's not just Hawaii water where it's beautiful and warm. This is dangerous water at 40 degrees, sometimes even lower. So the kids know immediately that although the ocean is your friend, it gives you food and stuff, but it's also very dangerous for them. And a life expectancy, with your clothes on is only 10, 15 minutes at the most. And a child's even less. So for the kids to realize how to get into survival suits, how to get into a life raft if one comes to them, not to panic when the Coast Guard comes and saves them. It's lifelong skills that they'll always have. So how do you feel?
I feel safe.
Safe?
Yeah.
So if I push you underwater, do you think you come back up?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
Let's find out. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
That's awesome.
It was cool to have the rescue teachers because, they're Coast Guard. It's their line of work, and they know how to teach us. So next time I'm in the water in that kind of situation, I'll know what to do. They're definitely important people to have around, and I'm glad that we Alaskans have them because they're our only kind of help when we're out there in the water.
Everybody else want to get put in this? It's great. The kids love it. And you know what? They're going to go home and they're going to talk about this for 2 or 3 days because they got to climb into a basket or the rescue swimmer tried to dunk me, you know? And that's what we like. It's you learn through fun.
We're here at Air Station Sitka in the Operations Center. I just got an urgent call from Medevac for a 50-year-old male who's pinned by a log truck at Prince of Wales Island.
He has all crush injuries on his left side. It feels like he has some broken ribs and his elbow actually feels broken too.
When I see the patient, he looked a little bit scared, as anybody would be in that situation.
Sounds like this guy's in pretty bad shape.
When I hear about a patient who's having seizures, I'm thinking about airway difficulties. Did he bite his tongue? Is there something that's going to kill him because he's seizing?
We're here at Air Station Sitka in the Operations Center. I just got an urgent call from Medevac for a 50-year-old male who's pinned by a log truck at Prince of Wales Island.
Suspect internal injuries?
Do you have lots of fluids? Yeah, like 2 bags.
Yeah, whatever you think. I mean, if this guy's crushed, is that enough? Do you want to go get more while we're starting up?
I'll go grab a couple of extra bags, I guess.
Okay.
They got him out from underneath the log truck, and he's on his way to Cloak Clinic right now. Prince of Wales is a remote location here in Alaska where they only have a clinic available. So they're going to need to take him to a place with a higher level of care, which is in Ketchikan.
We should be arriving in Cloak in 1 hour.
Lieutenant David Berkey here at Air Station Sitka. As soon as we got in the aircraft, we got updated that the patient is en route to Cloak. We're going to land at Cloak Airport and meet the ambulance there, take him to Ketchikan.
Report ready for takeoff. Coast Guard 6. Here for takeoff. As the weather's good, I'm going to cut as many corners as I can. Yeah.
So I guess we're meeting us at the airport.
My name's Noel Hutton. I'm a Coast Guard rescue swimmer. Knowing that they have him in an ambulance gives us more information from the EMS personnel about what's going on with the patient, what they're going to need from us with the patient, so we can get that equipment ready that we have on the helicopter and hook him up and hopefully get him stabilized.
38 Sector, go ahead.
Sector, could you give us some updated information on the patient so we can figure out what equipment we're going to need?
38 Sector, roger, stand by.
My name is HSC Christina McRobert. The concerns that we have with this Medevac is that we don't really have much information, but we're expecting crush injuries, internal bleeding, any broken bones, head injury, worst case scenario, breathing problems with his airway or anything with his lungs, stuff that, you know, can't wait for a few minutes that we need to get him out of there for right away.
Ready for approach. Ready for approach.
So Carlos, when we get out, we'll have to get the litter.
Yeah, I'll put it together.
Put all that over there.
When we get to Cloak, we're the first ones there. I called district to get an update. District doesn't really have any information because the ambulance is en route and they don't have comms with the ambulance. So it's kind of like, hey, what are we gonna get when it gets here? Patient could be coding, patient could walk to the aircraft. We don't know.
The ambulance is arriving, and as soon as they get here, we are going to hop in and assess our patient. When I see the patient, I notice that he looked a little bit scared, as anybody would be in that situation, but we just kind of talked to him, let him know what we were doing, just finding out the injuries, seeing what they were, and just prioritizing from there.
Sounds like this guy's in pretty bad shape.
So we do a good evaluation of the lungs. Both lungs sound clear. My biggest concern right now is maybe he has some internal bleeding.
We had to establish an IV, and we had to make sure that he was fully good to go before we left. And wasn't working. He was there with a pulling back. He didn't like getting an IV.
As Christina tried to put an IV in, he didn't really like it and pulled back a little bit and pulled the IV out that she had started. but it's a pretty critical thing. So I suggested that we maybe, if we can't get an IV in, let's put an interosseous in. And what this does is it allows us to drill into the bone, and that way we can administer IV fluid through the bone marrow. One thing that we can do is numb the area that the needle's going to go into. That only numbs the surface area. So the patient really didn't feel it going in, but he did feel it going into the bone. Just right after that, the doctor from Kloak was able to get another IV in his right hand, and we were able to get fluids on board that way as well. So now that we have 2 IVs going, I feel a little more comfortable taking this patient.
All right, here they come, Carlos. Roger that.
At this time, we're going to load the patient onto the helicopter. I like to get him set up on the monitor, get him ready to go before we take off.
Door is closed and locked. Roger. Car's good. About 10 feet. I'm going to turn and on the go. Hey, Noel, any altitude concerns? No, sir, we're good. Okay, we're going direct then.
We gave him the 2 milligrams of morphine before we left, and that helped a little bit, I believe. I'm a little more concerned right now. As we got going, his IV bag wasn't dripping very well. I'm not sure if something's clogging it, and so I'm trying to figure this situation, figure out what's going on here.
If altitude has anything to do with this. What's wrong? Oh, I can't get his IO to run.
We are 4 minutes out. I'm at 1,600 feet and I'm in a descent right now.
We're flying to Catch Can right now, and en route, the pilots get hold of the EMS that's going to be meeting us there, and see if maybe they can let the hospital know what's going on, or just EMS, just kind of give everybody a heads up.
Can I get an update on patient over?
He has all crushed injuries on his left side. It feels like he has some broken ribs, and his elbow actually feels broken too. But
yeah, he's pretty jacked up, but he's stable right now.
Yeah, for the most part, he's just in a lot of pain.
Okay, we're going to be landing into Wolf Point pad here. All right, we got good SPO2. How's he doing? Talk to him.
His eyes are closed. He's okay.
Christine, if you want to walk out, I'll get him all ready to take out and tell him to get caught out here.
Went over and briefed everybody, told them what was going on. They were all really nice guys, really excited to get the patient and get him to better care. And yeah, Noel disconnected everything that he could, and it was a good, successful transport.
I think as a rescue swimmer, my own philosophy is train the way you fight. I have a guy that's crushed, under a logging truck. Tomorrow I might have somebody that's sinking in a boat, and we have to, go pull him out of the water. You just never know what you're going to get. So to keeping up on your skills, keeping up on current on your EMS skills as best as you can, that's what's going to help you in the long run.
My name's David Snodgrass. I live in Kaufman Cove. I drive a log truck for a living. I was working on a log truck and things went terribly wrong and it ended up on top of me. I had 3 broken ribs on my left side and I was just bruised from head to toe and I suffered from lack of oxygen. I'm pretty thankful for everybody. If it wouldn't have been for everybody pulling together, I wouldn't be here. Well, the Coast Guard is probably the most valuable asset the island's got. When all else fails, that's when the Coast Guard's called.
The SAR alarm just went off and we're responding to a 45-year-old man who's had a seizure on a fishing boat.
Seeing that he has had a seizure, everything we do, every second matters.
Go check the case. Goes on his way down. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Woo! That thing can get airborne.
Oh, really?
Just like riding in a helicopter.
Right on, let's do it. Cameron Cullen, AST3 on top of Harbor Mountain.
Chris, John, and I are all here because we're passionate about our jobs and we just want to know as much as we can from a rescuer standpoint. And at the same time, just another way to get outside and really enjoy the beautiful days out here in Sitka.
We're going to go plant an avalanche transceiver for a practice burial scenario. My name's Tom Matisse. I'm the avalanche forecaster and emergency programs manager for the city and borough of Juneau. Alaska has the highest per capita avalanche fatalities in the United States. And the rescue swimmers, because they have the hoist capability with the helicopters, they do often perform mountain rescue scenarios. So it's not only important for them to know how to stay safe in the mountains, but it's important for them to know how to use the safety tools to find others in the mountains that may have compromised their own safety and been buried. So what we're gonna do is, I've buried a couple of transceivers, move down the hill until you get a signal. When you get a signal, vocalize, and then you can dig. Okay, so the avalanche headed this direction, up the hill, pretty much straight up the hill. The last point you saw the person was 15 yards on the other side of that tree right there. Avalanche! An avalanche transceiver is a unit that's sending and receiving signals. If somebody in a party gets buried, the party members can turn the other units to receive, and they can use them to home in on their partner and isolate where that person is at so they can dig them out effectively and efficiently in a very short period of time.
25. What are you over there, Chris? 23, 20. 25.
18. Stop! Hold on. Let's start with correct habits. I want you getting your probe out and you getting your shovel out, so that we can get to them quicker.
I'll get the shovel out. 16. 8.
Tom, our instructor, his rule is that you need to be able to find an individual who's been buried in an avalanche within 3 minutes using your transceivers. We can understand the speed aspect of this very well. Most of our job is all getting someplace as fast as possible. A lot of ours take place in the water, and if we don't get to them as fast as possible with them in the water, they're dead.
So show me exactly where it is, and watch this. Let's just hold it at this level because it's snow level. 0.3, hold on, right, that elevation. 0.4, mark it. Now where is it?
Right there. Right there.
That's how you find somebody.
That was awesome.
Good job, really good job.
It's a really good feeling when you find that beacon. I thought this was going to be a very simple task. You know, you have an avalanche beacon and somebody who's buried also has one. There's a lot of different factors that play into that, and definitely humbled me today, and I learned a lot, so it was fun.
I'm Lieutenant Josh Tabor. I'm a pilot here at Air Station Sitka, and the SAR alarm just went off and we're responding to a 45-year-old man who's had a seizure on a fishing boat. They've reported to Sector Juneau that they're at anchor in a cove at the south end of Seymour Canal. This is his first seizure, I'm told. However, each subsequent seizure is more dangerous to the individual, so we want to get out there as soon as we can.
My name is HSC Aaron Bonner. When I hear about a patient who's having seizures, I'm thinking about airway difficulties. Did he bite his tongue? Is there something that's going to kill him because he's seizing?
Coast Guard Rescue 6030, set radio traffic to 185 rolling out, no other reported traffic.
Roger that, Rescue 6030. We'll be kicking off runway 11, right turn out to the south.
Going to Seymour Canal can take an hour. It's basically on the waterway between Petersburg and Juneau. But for a boat, that's a 12-hour transit at least. So if you have somebody that's sick on your crew, the helicopter is the perfect answer to this because we have a couple different options for mountain passes to cut across Baranof Island that will save a considerable amount of time.
The guy ambulatory or no?
Yes, sir. He is ambulatory, but the odds of him going into another seizure is very good.
So are we definitely not using a basket, or are we just waiting to the war on scene?
I would rather do a litter.
Yeah, the litter will be...
Just in case he goes into seizure again, he's strapped in and he's good to go.
Roger. We're going to just start getting getting the litter set up back here.
My name is Benton Allen. I'm a health services technician, first class. At this time, we're hearing from the fishing vessel, from the captain, that he has had another seizure. Seeing that he has had a second seizure, a third, and fourth is very likely, and that's where we come in to get over on scene and to hoist our rescue swimmer down and get him back up quickly.
That's cool. Nice big boat, GIW. Roger. Ready for approach. And you have kept door speed if it's not already open. Roger, doors open. And holding key forward right 15. Forward right 10. Forward right 5. Got good position.
AST-3 Cameron Cullen. Anytime we're flying, and especially hoisting, it's a very dangerous evolution. One of the tools we use is called a trail line, and it's just a 105-foot long rope with a weight bag at the end. And all that is to do is to stabilize me or whatever's being sent down to the boat. So you're gonna have someone on the boat that's pulling in that trail line, and that's just gonna keep it a nice, smooth, stable hoist.
Oh, he's got it in his hand. That's awesome. Good, good, good. Easy back, easy left, and hold.
There are a million things that can go wrong in a hoist like this. You know, the boat can move unexpectedly. The helicopter could make contact with some part of the boat. There have been instances in the past where that rope can get wrapped around things on the deck and go taut and actually break, and it's game over for a lot of people and the hoist, and maybe we become the rescuee at that point.
Easy back, easy left, and hold.
At this time, we're hearing from the fishing vessel, from the captain, that he has had another seizure. Seeing that he has had a second seizure, a third, and fourth is very likely, and that's where we come in to get over on scene and to hoist our rescue swimmer down and get him back up quickly.
Take swimmer outside cabin for a load check. Load check complete. Swimmer's on his way down. Swimmer's going down. Come forward a little bit more, sir. Roger.
Right when I get down to the boat and I'm looking at the victim, I see he's not in the greatest shape. He's had 2 seizures in the past 2 hours. Well, seizures can be very dangerous because you lose all control of your body. And during those seizures, he injured himself. He ended up biting his tongue several times, so his tongue was really swollen and there's lots of blood in there, so airway become another huge issue for us.
We chose to hoist him back up in the SAR Medevac litter, and that way, if he did have another seizure, he's strapped in well. Everything we do, every second matters.
Forward sending survivor. Roger.
Getting hoisted is a very vulnerable moment. It's a stressful situation for them. I think they're excited that we show up. You know, they're ready to leave the boat and get to a hospital. But at the same time, you can definitely see a sense of fear, you know, in their eyes of the unknown.
Prepare to take the load. Taking the load. Easy left. 25 feet. Roger. And hold. Easy back. Bring survivor to the cabin door.
As the patient's getting closer, he's looking at me and he seems frightened. There is a little blood around his mouth. You can tell from where he bit his tongue. I started working on getting an IV and pushing some medication.
And I have the ready for pickup. Hold position. Okay. Taking the load.
When you're dealing with seizures, you're definitely racing against the clock, trying to get meds into the patient's system and get them to a higher level of care before it's too late.
So is this one cabin? Number is at the cabin door. Number is inside the cabin. The cabin door super closed. Nobody's buckled up. Roger. Rescue 603 departed the scene with patient on board and ETA to Juno and 30 Mike, over. Are we giving him anything for pain? Valium should help with that as well. Okay.
in his situation, stuck on a fishing vessel, for them, a 12-hour boat ride from where they were to Juneau, without the Coast Guard there, you know, there would be no hope for him.
Rescue 6030, this is technician, already contacted the ambulance.
The medication we pushed has helped. We've got him on some oxygen. Hopefully this is going to prevent any further seizures and him compromising his airway. When we get there, me and Chief are going to make sure we deliver this patient personally to Bartlett Hospital emergency room.
Hey, how you feeling?
Good.
Okay, so we take a listen to you?
Sure.
Okay, let's listen. Take some deep breaths for me.
My name is Brett Claggett. Once I knew the Coast Guard was coming, I calmed down quite a bit because I knew I had the best of the best.
How's your tongue doing?
Good.
Good?
Sore, but better.
But better. I am Dr. Mignon Benjamin, and we are in Juneau, Alaska at Bartlett Regional Hospital. Brett could have died had he not had the Coast Guard bringing him in. He required medication and care by a specialist, so it was life-saving for the Coast Guard to be able to bring Brett to us.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Sure, you take care.
You're taking great care of me.
Good.
When I first saw the rescue swimmer's face, I knew everything was in control. The Coast Guard watches out for you, whether you're on the deck, in the water, or going up the basket, or in the helicopter. They're America's heroes, coming out and risking their lives to retrieve us. We got a saying for them. We call them angels of the sky, because they are.